Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hi, Ariel. Hi, Joy. Hi, Guillermo. Hi, Diego. Hi, everyone.
Hello,
connected.
everyone.
Hi, Pablo.
Hello. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Guille. Hi, Gaku. How Joy?
Okay. Let me share my screen here. Everyone that is joining, thank you. We have almost 50 people already connected. Great turnaround. Thank you all for showing up. As you join, I invite you to share your location. So this is a global research center. So we're happy to have lots of people from around the world. So you're more than welcome to say where you're coming from and where you're saying hi from. Okay.
Hi, Daniel.
And
Nice. It's finally happening after so many months of planning. It's very exciting to see that we're all getting together. Eddie from China. Nice. Germany. I'm going to give a few minutes for everyone to join.
Okay, so it's late for you guys. Thank you for joining.
Hola, Gabriel. Bienvenido. En Paraguay.
Okay. So yeah, we're happy to be here. Happy to everyone that is joining and to be talking about CBDCs and how this is evolving everywhere. So I know that we have great speakers with us today. I know you're excited, guys, to get started. Let's give the people that are joining one more minute, and probably we'll start it. Okay.
Perfect.
Excellent. Great. Diego, I see you have your mate with you. That's important. Means you're comfortable. You're ready.
Yes, that's proof of being in Argentina, I think, no?
Or Uruguay. You never know.
Or Uruguay, yeah. That I'm close to Rio de la Plata for sure.
We have people from Uruguay, I can see. So excellent. Perfect. Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect.
Good. Okay, William. So let's get a little intro started. If you guys are ready, first of all, welcome. Welcome everyone. Thank you all for coming. We are very happy, very proud of making this event happening. We are all in this space working in related projects about blockchain, about how this is affecting everyday life to everyone, and particularly the CBDC topic is a very interesting one that we are participating in different initiatives, and we realized that it was very key to create this space that is very, very open in terms of sharing knowledge. We realized that the way the CBDCs need to be approached, it really makes a difference if they are considered in a way that knowledge is integrated from different aspects. And because of that, today we have different speakers that we're going to be talking about our experience and our knowledge of CBDCs from all those different aspects. We consider this space to be very important also. That's why it's open for you guys that have been invited specifically for this as a first. We also want to share it with everyone at no charge, and that's part of the value of this. We want to be in the middle of this. We want to facilitate the spreading of this knowledge and facilitate the expansion of these projects all across the geographies. So that's kind of the spirit that we want to transfer to you guys, and the sense of the technology that is available and the need to start as soon as possible to make the most of it. That's right there. Dieguito, I give the floor to you a few minutes, so I don't delay this much.
Excellent. Thank you, Pablo, and well, thank you everybody for being here. You know, at IOB Labs, we have been discussing how Bitcoin gave birth to new financial infrastructure, what we call the Internet of Value. And now we are seeing how this base infrastructure is evolving into a full financial infrastructure, and I think this is part of it. We always share that in our vision, the Internet of Value was going to be diverse. So you would have different networks for the store transfer of value. Some of them would be fully open, some would be permissioned but open to the public. Some of them would be permissioned and closed. But I think this implementation, the digitalization of money, of the in different states, it's something that is happening no matter what. So the main thing is how we turn this process into something that is useful for the society, and we can create systems where digitalization doesn't equate to the loss of rights by the individuals or loss of privacy, but at the same time we can use these to improve compliance, improve equality and equal opportunity of access. And I think this is where we are. I mean, this space is a space where we can discuss all these topics, understand what are the boundaries of the technology, what are the limits of the technology, and how these technologies can enable local economies, country economies that are more fair, more equal, and at the same time retain compliance with the current regulation and framework. So I'm very excited that we are kickstarting this discussion here among all of us, and at the end of the meeting, I will share some views on how I think this can evolve in different ways. So thank you.
Great, thanks, Diego. Just what's gonna happen next? Gabriel, Joy, and Guillermo are gonna present a few topics. I invite you all to ask. There's gonna be a brief time for them to introduce the content, and I welcome you to submit questions or comments as they make their exposition, and then we have at the end some minutes to select some questions from the ones that we have to address in the Q&A space. So more than welcome to interact and share that on the chat section you have on your side of the screen. And without much further ado, Gabriel, please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna share a few slides. I won't be able to see you, so let me know if you can see them. Let's go to the beginning. There we go. Can you see my screen, my slides?
Yes.
Okay. Well, in the same line that Dieguito said, I would like to share with you that I'm extremely excited and happy about this space. It's a continuation of something that we've been doing for the last 7 years since I got involved in this industry, promoting the development of an adoption of blockchain technology, especially in Latin America and emerging markets. As Dieguito said, a new financial system is being reshaped, and many of the users and people left behind in the former financial system because of lack of technology or possibilities to include everyone, can be welcome to this new financial system of the future. And most of those users are based in the emerging markets. So since day one, we started having conversations with central banks and local regulators across Latin America and the rest of the world, discussing with them how we can benefit from blockchain technology and bring the most value to our colleagues and inhabitants in our regions. Well, after 10 years of this technology evolving, now this is a reality. And central banks in central economies are moving very fast to adopt CBDCs and blockchain technology in their own financial systems. So we felt the urge to create this space, to share knowledge legal knowledge and technology with other central banks and financial systems that probably do not have the resources to move as fast, but which are the ones that need this technology the most. So I'm super excited to be able to be part of this, which is a space to be created by all of us who are participating in this research center. This is the spirit, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this in my presentation. There is some noise coming into the line, so maybe the other speakers want to mute while I'm presenting. So why is the CBDC Global Research Center so important, in my opinion? As I was saying, one of the most important things for me is the inequality that we have in the world right now. Not only among people, with 50% of global population excluded from the financial system and without access or very limited access to the traditional financial system, but also the distribution of those people are not even among different countries. Our emerging markets in Latin America, in Africa, in Asia, the ones that have the most amount of unbanked or underserved users in the world. And sadly, also these central banks and governments are the ones with the least amount of resources or energy to be able to be dedicated to the implementation of new technologies. So this is a big problem, and we felt compelled to do something about it and to close that gap between different central banks and different authorities, and also between different users and people around the world. The other reason why I believe this space that we are creating is so important is due to the overwhelming amount of innovation happening on the blockchain space. This is extremely difficult to absorb for experts that are spending all their life in this industry, even more so for regulators or entities that are not used to this technology. So the amount of innovation at an infrastructure layer, but also at an application layer, it's on one hand extremely positive, and it's the first time in a couple of centuries that we are seeing this amount of innovation, which will conclude into better services and lower cost for end users. But at the same time, it's very difficult to absorb. And this is the third reason why I think having this open CBDC Research Center is so important. As I was saying before, we spent a lot of time in the last 7 years talking with regulators and central banks around the world, and it's very difficult for them to absorb and to decide what's the best path going forward. And one very typical reaction is just wait and see. This is too much for me. We don't have the resources. But sadly today, having no action, it's actually doing something. It's letting the other central banks and the rest of the financial system to evolve much farther and faster, and leaving our financial system, our local entrepreneurs, our users, and our fintechs and our banks way behind on this new revolution. And this is completely opposite to what we've been trying to do with Dieguito and all the rest for so many years, trying to help less developed countries and institutions to catch up and to use blockchain technology to close this gap and move forward. So the level of complexity is something that we need to understand and accept, and try to figure out how to work together to reduce this level of complexity and put it in a way that is very easy to absorb and to take decision, to take action. And finally, I think it's extremely positive that we are opening this space, because I'm a true believer that blockchain technology will also enable innovation and economic development in our countries. It's amazing to see the amount of startups and projects on the open blockchain side being built on Latin America. And we want to drive this into the more traditional financial system, but needs some kind of regulation or framework So banks and fintechs can take advantage and probably have the next regional or global bank being born in one of these emerging markets, because we have a proper CBDC research center that allows the little startups in their own country to flourish. So we also see this not only as a central bank strategy for compliance and protection of the local financial system, but also as a more general economic development strategy to promote job creation and growth in your own countries. So going back to the IOV Labs purpose and mission that Dieguito was referring before, we want to contribute to the development of a financial system based on open source technology that can serve billions of users around the globe and promote equal opportunities to all. And you see that billions of users, open source technologies, and equal opportunities to all are highlighted, because this is the core of why we are building the technology that we are building at IOV Labs. And as you can see, this is fully in line with also helping central banks and traditional banks to absorb and to benefit from blockchain technology, design it in a way that is compliant with local regulation, but at the same time that enables us to serve billions of new users with equal opportunity. So I'm going to get into depth on these issues. These are some of the challenges that we understood that are currently happening in banks around the world, and how this CBDC Research Center plans to tackle them or try to help. So traditional institutions and central banks are not ready to absorb the amount of innovation happening on the blockchain space, as we said before. And for that, we have the amazing team of Extremian. You will hear directly from Guillermo in a couple of minutes. But basically what Extremian is doing is taking the latest state-of-the-art blockchain technology and put it in a way that is very easy to consume and to program, to build solutions for central banks in full compliance with your local regulations or functionality. So it's bringing the benefits of blockchain technology, but making it available on a permissioned solution or a closed system, or with the kind of characteristics that better serve central banks, with all the benefits of programmability and security inherited from blockchain technology. Another problem that we identified is especially emerging markets don't have the resources or access to leading regulatory frameworks. As I said before, central banks in Europe, in Asia, in the US are moving extremely fast to develop their own CBDCs, and also to enable their own banks to be key players in the CBDC space in the future. And we are extremely lucky today to have Joey Garcia from Isolas, who is building and working with some of the most important projects around the world, central bank projects and also corporate projects, because now we also have the competition of big tech giants that will get into this space. So the idea here is to bring and to make available for central banks in remote locations with very little resources, the state-of-the-art regulatory technology, to make sure that everything that we build is fully interoperable with the rest of the world. And we can somehow free ride on the discussions that other major countries and central banks have had, and put this regulatory technology at your hands right now, so we can start building and start all from the same line. And finally, another problem is that closed solutions cannot compete with innovation happening on the blockchain space worldwide. This is something that we also identify, that the base layer of the CBDC is just one part of the puzzle. What we are trying to do here, and our CBDCs will be successful or not, if we are able to serve billions of users at extremely low cost in a very efficient and user-friendly way. Imagine if a small country in Latin America or in Asia needs to build a whole ecosystem of solutions under CBDC, so a new wallet, swaps, e-commerce solutions, remittances, financial derivatives. There is no economics of scale that enable the creation of that amount of innovation replicated in every single country. So for that reason, we also count with the whole RSK ecosystem of solutions to make sure that any CBDC that is developed is fully compliant and interoperable with the rest of the open source technologies that are being built around the world. And we avoid situations, as we've seen in some countries, where it's actually a corporation that deploys the CBDC, fully patented, that creates a lock-in relationship where the government or the central bank cannot change this provider ever. And also the level of innovation that will happen in that ecosystem will depend on the innovation of that particular company, instead of benefiting from the innovation of open source technology happening all around the world. And we're talking about something that is super sensitive and important and core to the sovereignty of every country, right? No one will ever dream in giving full control of our passport issuance or customs to a corporation from a foreign country. Well, even less our financial system. So it's very important that we share also these concerns, and we put a whole ecosystem to even the smallest central bank in the world. So you make sure that this is developed in a way that protects the rights of every single user and every single government and every single country. So to wrap up, what's the spirit that I hope will emerge in this CBDC Global Research Center? First is a spirit of collaboration and synergies. As I said before, I do not see any benefit from having a secret sauce, the best CBDC for my country, that then won't be compatible with any other country in the world, where the applications that my users will use on top of my CBDC won't be compatible with any other application or wallet in the world. So in the same way that we see in the open blockchain space, also between central banks, there's a lot of value if we work together, if we collaborate, and we make sure that whatever we develop for Paraguay is fully compatible with what we develop in Argentina, in Africa, and in Asia. So this creates a very nice collaborative spirit where we can openly share all the innovation and all the ideas, because it's about who will serve their users or their inhabitants the best and fastest, and know based on, I have a proprietary secret technology that I won't share with the rest. So this is something quite unique, which makes sense for us to build an open, collaborative research center. The second pillar, or that I expect to happen here, is that we're going to be working on open access technology, and open source technology. As I said before, you won't see any patents here. You won't see any secret sauce trying to be hidden from the rest. Everything that we do and everything that we should do, and it's something that I think is very important to convey to central banks around the world, should be based on open source technology. Even if you decide to implement an application or solution from Extremian, this is based on open source technology. There is no vendor lock-in. It's a consultancy solution, but then you can choose not to use the consultancy or just benefit from the technology. What's important here is how to serve these 3 billion users around the world that are currently outside the system. And this is the third pillar that I think is fundamental in this research center, to make sure that we keep the spirit of bringing equal opportunities to all. And when I say this, I want to emphasize that I'm talking about equal opportunities for different central banks, So a small country can have the same level of technology that a major central bank with lots of resources in the world. And this will translate into equal opportunities to all the inhabitants in the world, which is why this technology is so revolutionary. It's not to serve better users in countries where you have multiple solutions for a very sound financial system. This is particularly important in countries where the financial system do not work that well. Because if we as central banks fail to serve our users with the latest technology at extremely low cost, then other corporate currencies or open blockchain solutions will serve those users. So 3 billion users currently outside the system that will be served in the next decade by blockchain solutions. I think central banks can play a key role in making that happen. And this is one of the big pillars of why we are so excited about the CBDC Research Center. And finally, as I said before, the idea is not only to help you decide and define and implement a strategy to have your own CBDC, but also to encourage your own fintechs and your own banking ecosystem and new entrepreneurs willing to innovate, create jobs and economic development within your own countries. I believe that countries that move forward in a smart way, that create the framework of a CBDC for startups to grow, will see probably huge amount of new job opportunities and economic development being created, and innovation that will then serve other countries. Because if you build a very interesting solution on a CBDC for the Bolivian market, that could be very easily implemented across Africa. So those startups building solutions for your local CBDCs will also be able to become international companies, creating new job opportunities and growth. So this is why I'm so excited about this. I also want to stress that this is not something created by IOB Labs, Extremian and Isolas. It's something that we open the space, but I encourage all of us to create it among ourselves. We're going to have other companies in the future presenting CBDC-friendly solutions. And the most important thing for me is that we build this together and that we can really make a difference. The financial system is being rebuilt, and emerging markets have an opportunity to play a key role in this new financial system. We have been the losers. We have not too much to say in the old financial system. And now there's a big opportunity to really drive growth and bring value to our countries. Doing nothing, it's doing something, which is losing this opportunity and letting other central banks to take that space. So it's very important that we bring this technology and we build this all together.
Let me know if you are seeing my screen. Hello?
Hello, yes. Not yet.
Not yet.
Yes? Are you seeing my screen?
Not yet.
No.
Okay.
By the way, thanks everyone for the questions or very interesting issues that are being raised in the chat. We are taking notes of all of them, and yeah, many of these issues are the critical points that need to be solved and figured out. So very great input. Thanks.
Are you seeing the screen right now?
Go ahead. Yes, we can see it now.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we are going to talk about CBDC and blockchain right now from a more technical perspective. And I want to start with one of our main beliefs. We strongly believe that the future of the fiat payment will continue to be decentralized. they are not going to be decentralized. They will continue to be decentralized. And certainly, they will become to be much digital. So central banks seem to agree on that, as reflected in many different sources. For example, in a recently issued study by Bank of International Settlement, shown that more than 80% of the central banks has some kind of engagement on CBDC works, and almost 50% is working on the retail CBDC implementation. Other research, for example, one of we have in the screen, shown that more than 70% of the bank are evaluating DLT or blockchain implementations. At this point in time, we also had 2 cases in production, Bahamas and China, and many pilots running all over the world. And most of them are based on blockchain. But what is quite interesting is that the conclusion we see in the different documents that were produced so far is that the conclusions are a bit random and quite divergent, since the same aspects are evaluated in a radically different way by different teams. And we believe that on one hand, this is mainly because these technologies are so complex and evolve very fast. So conclusion that could be valid 1 year ago suddenly become obsolete as emerge a new iteration of this kind of technology. On the other hand, to properly evaluate the business case around CBDC and the best architecture to implement it, it's important to develop new paradigms and mindsets. And this process takes a lot of time and also requires a lot of resources, which are 2 aspects that are not affordable for many central banks for different reasons. This is something that Gabriel addressed in his introduction. So today I am going to talk a bit about the retail CBDC and blockchain technology in particular. But I really want to ground it in some principles that you should keep in mind as you start to either experiment or learn about this technology. The importance of base the research on principle could be see in the difference on the evolution of AltaVista and Google. This is just one example of the past about the consequence of applying disruptive technology without thinking on principles. So rather than just testing because there is a new technology, thinking about where the technology fits and the principles associated with it is very important. So let me use some kind of a story, the story of how we have done economics and trade for a long time to help us to imagine where we are headed and why we think that fiat payments will remain decentralized and will become much more digital in the future. If you think in the early agrarian days, we used to trade much more one-to-one. We had a lot of direct control over the trade because we lived in these smaller societies. But as distance grow and complexity grow, we ended up with a lot more uncertainty. And to deal with that rising uncertainty, we invented institutions. Institutions like bank, mercantile association, marketplace, just rules and protocols that help us to drive lower uncertainty and allow us to do business together at greater scale. Eventually, if we fast forward even further, we put that same institution online. We built a platform marketplace like Amazon, eBay, Alibaba, etc. And these were just a continuation of this story. Another institution that helped us to lower our uncertainty about one another at greater and greater distance, so we can do business together. In the current model of the financial services, the financial system, trusted third parties sit in the middle and perform many important tasks. Those that basically makes that the system work. And overall, they do a good job. But they have some very specific limitation. Just let me give you an example. If you go to a coffee shop and buy a coffee with cash, they don't ask you for the driver license. The cash is enough to satisfy the payment. Cash is a very instrument. If you tap your credit card, you might think that the value is moving directly from you to the merchant, but it's not. It's going through 4 or 5 different intermediaries. So the main limitation that we see here are, first, anything that is centralized is vulnerable to hacking or to fraud. And we see this regularly in almost every single industry. The second big issue is that they add many friction and cost because we had to rely on many many intermediaries to transfer value. The third issue is that they exclude big part of the population, and this is mainly because they don't have an identity. And finally, the fourth big issue is that they compromise our privacy, since most of the data is extracted by intermediary. So it's clear that the current model is not completely aligned with the cash and retail CBDC implementations wants to mimic most of the or many of the properties of cash. So back to my history about economics, we believe that we are changing again, but now instead of relying on trusted third parties, even the digital ones, we have created technology that does exactly the same thing. These technologies lower the uncertainty about one another, but instead of using middlemen, we are using pure technology. We are using blockchain technology. For the first time, we have a technological way to create trust and still increase the scale and the scope of our business interactions. So what is interesting is that the new iteration actually looks a lot more like the early part of the trade, the one-to-one trade from agrarian days, where we had much more direct knowledge and transparency in our interaction. But we are doing that at a very greater scale. What is also remarkable in the model is that we are not talking about removing institutions. Institutions are important, but we are talking about transforming them. At the same time, we are evolving the way we create trust. This time based on cryptographic protocols instead of trusted third parties. This is something interesting because from now on, we are not going to still think in institutions as a middleman, but as a real service provider. And this is a very powerful concept. In these new paradigms, much of the rules will be implemented in self-enforceable cryptographic protocols. So we can digitize the process end-to-end to remove much of the complexity and duplicated functions in order to drastically reduce costs and remove frictions. So this is the principle I want you to hold on when thinking about this technology. It's just a continuation of a story. It's not a revolution. It's something that we have always done. Lower uncertainty in order to expand our ability to trade. This is the key idea. And from now on, thinking on institutions like protocols that are embedded in networks in order to facilitate the trade. And here we have two great examples of institutions that are being moved to this new paradigm. On one hand, we have CBDC, which is the key topic of today. But in addition, we have identity in the form of self-sovereign identity, which is another hot topic that is being implemented all around the world. Going to the implementation of this concept in the CBDC space, we believe that the platform model proposed by the Bank of England early this year is a great model to start working with when you approach to the design of a CBDC system. In this model, you still find institutions between the central bank and the public. However, these intermediaries are not offering a balance sheet to hold people digital money. They provide instead value-added services and technological tools to help any person or business to connect to the core ledger and have access to digital money. This model optimizes layers on specific requirements, while the central bank core ledger is optimized to fast, secure, and to be fast, secure, and resilient. The payment interface service provider layer is optimized to provide customer experience and innovation. So again, the payment service provider are service provider. They are not conceptualized as a middleman. They are providing value-added services. In short, the platform model combines the indirect connection to the central bank with direct access to the balance sheet of the CBDC. Mixing those concepts, you have a much lower risk in the overall system because you don't have the money in the balance sheet of the financial institutions. And also because you remove much of the duplicated functions that we see in the current financial system. So if we remove the risk and also we remove the much of the cost, it's a good start to start fixing most of the problem that we described early on this presentation. But let me show you how the Bank of England platform model could look like if we go deeper in their implementation. From our perspective, the core ledger, the Bank of England doesn't provide a detailed implementation of the model. They are providing just the conceptual model. What we are going to talk is one of the probable implementation of that model. From our perspective, the core ledger should not be restricted to the use of just the base protocol that any blockchain platform provides. The core layer proposed by the Bank of England should also incorporate many of the technology that modern blockchain implementations already have today. For example, today we have technology like zero-knowledge rollups that fix many of the limitations that early blockchain implementation has. For example, if you look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin is able to process just 8-9 transactions per second. If you look at Ethereum, you will end up with 18-19 transactions per second. If you look at Rootstock, you have 100 transactions per second. That is not enough to address the requirements of any CBDC implementation. But any modern blockchain implementation is already using this kind of technologies. And for example, using CK rollups, you can have thousands of transactions per second, or maybe much more transactions per second. In addition, they provide privacy by design because they are based on zero-knowledge proof, which is another set of technology that are as much disruptive as blockchain. And we can use this kind of technologies in order to not only to scale, but also to address some trade-offs that we will need to do in the CBDC implementation, like how to deal with privacy and control. On one hand, we want to address the privacy aspect on the CBDC, but at the same time, we still need to address the compliance requirements. Using technologies like zero-knowledge proof, we can do this kind of we can resolve this kind of trade-off. The interesting thing is that the approach that we see in almost all the experiment and even the implementation that are going on is that they restrict the implementation of the core ledger to the base protocol. And many of them has a close approach to the payment interface service layer. And we want to raise a warning on that, because from our perspective, that approach will end up with something that is very similar to what we already have in the market. So it's not going to add so much value. I'm not going to talk much about the self-sovereign identity. I want just to mention, because the idea is to you to learn that decentralized technology are much more than blockchain. We had many different technologies. Blockchain is one of them, but zero knowledge is another group of technology. And we have other paradigms like self-sovereign identity, which again will help us to manage the trade-off between privacy and control. So another aspect that is interesting is that many actors in the CBDC space are pointing their efforts to figure out how to survive on this new space. China, for example, developed its digital currency as a response to the Libra Association. Canada, in its document, concluded that one of the compelling events that for them to implement a CBDC could be a broadly adoption of private stablecoins. So there is a missing piece for me on this rationale. That rather than survive, we believe that the central banks and the financial industry as a whole can move to try to thrive and not just to survive. But as I mentioned at the beginning, we need to change to develop new mindset and new paradigms. We continually have conversation with many brilliant people, and again these different individuals point to the same idea. To do that, we need to learn how to learn. So we need to learn how to develop new paradigms and innovate faster. And then we also need to learn how to unlearn, to get rid of some of the old assumptions we have had about our trade, but also about how we do business. We are going to see a lot of innovation that take advantage of this technology that we were talking about. And to us, it means that we need to start thinking about how to start working together in order to drive value creation. And that's going to look quite different that we were used to. The trade-offs are different, the responsibilities are different. We have to rethink a lot of this system that we are using today. And in that point, it's important that crypto ecosystems, like the ecosystem around Rooftop, and traditional financial services players can start working together. They are not necessarily competitors. So they can start leveraging the complementary knowledge and capabilities that they already have. And this is our invitation for today. This is the proposal that we want to put over the table today for this space. Start working together to share knowledge, to share experiences in order to create the best CBDC implementation that we can imagine and facilitate that implementation to any country, any jurisdiction that wants to take advantage of that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Guillermo. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Gabriel. Great conversations, great points of view. I think that we were true to our word. We cover from business point of view, to impact in financials, to technical implications, to regulatory aspects. So I think that, as we mentioned, we wanted to kickstart this to talk about how the finance will be redefined, in the words that CBDC is coming here to change this. We had a couple of interesting questions, just to quickly go over them, just to not to waste them, the opportunity. In the case of cases that we have been seeing, we don't want to mention specific cases right here at this point, but we've seen that some central banks are going through solutions that cover, as Gabriel was saying at the beginning, and Guillermo mentioned later on, these scenarios in one solution or one vendor provides all for the entire landscape. As you have seen during the conversations, that's probably not the best. We want to foster a different kind of approach. We understand that also permission blockchains can be a way of trust as a service approach, can make a real difference, and that's the case here. As what we want to propose here, you will see on the section of polls in the tool a question about CBDC projects. We invite you to, that one is anonymous, so we invite you to participate on that poll, and we will share later on the comments as regarding how many people are actually involved in CBDC projects, and this is for the sense of everyone, how deep this is happening to everyone here. What we propose on what you heard about how this is being implemented, the impacts and the reach that this is having throughout Europe and throughout the rest of the countries, we want to take this space forward. We want to open it to all of you who are participating and engaging in CBDC projects, and you have topics of interest, topics that you are being focused on, technical, regulatory, social. We know that CBDCs cover many aspects. So we invite you to actively engage with us and with any other participants that are present here to work on this. On future next steps, what we want to do is to also open the floor to any participants today here or participants of the IOB ecosystem to also come forward and discuss specific topics that you have encountered during your work and different implementations. So we will be contacting you with that. We will be sharing the material. And that's what we wanted to discuss today. I would like to give the opportunity to Dieguito to do a quick summary of some of these big ideas we just shared.
Yes, I think, we have covered a lot of ground, from regulatory, conceptual to technological factors regarding CBDCs. And I think, the highlights I have are related to, interoperability and, but by using blockchain technologies, open blockchain technologies, we can create interoperability, of course, between governments and corporations and of course, the financial system that serves the citizens within jurisdiction, but also between governments. And that enables a level of collaboration that is not possible today. And as was mentioned, this is especially important and relevant for small and medium jurisdictions that by joining forces and having, common standards can jointly solve macroeconomic needs of the jurisdictions or a region, or even multiple jurisdictions that share a common legal framework and governance model. So I think that is one key element, interoperability. Interoperability in the traditional model is assured by legal agreements. Here we are talking about interoperability ensured by technical assurances, by technology. And the other factor that I think is key and was mentioned multiple times is the open source nature, or the need to make sure that all these solutions are built with open source technology. And the reason why is because that open source model, the open source model equates to transparency and autonomy. when you have open source software, you have the eyes of multiple security experts and hackers that are, checking out if your systems are secure enough to run, and that is the only way you can ensure long-standing security, because we know that security by obscurity can only last for a while. Eventually, obscurity will be revealed and systems will be broken. And it also equates to autonomy, because without having full control of the source code, then nations are in the hands of corporations. And I think that's a key element, no, to preserve the autonomy, the sovereignty of nation states. And all these together, of course, translates in security in the more ample sense of the word. No, it's like security not only in terms of technical security, but also preserving sovereignty of the monetary system of nations. So I think open source is a key difference, and I think in this group of research that's one of the building blocks or the shared values among all of who are working on this research center. The other thing that I think is key is that, as I said, digitalization of money is a trend that is unstoppable. Nobody can question that we are going in that direction. But I think there's a big challenge for society, because if we don't digitize the economy, protecting privacy, we can enter in systems that maybe not today, not with the current government, but in the future can be used by totalitarian systems to do general monitoring of the population and implement oppressive systems. We need to think that what we are setting today, will be foundations for years to come, for the world that is coming in the future decades. So we need to set these systems not only thinking on the current environments that might be positive environments of respect for individual rights, but we need to think that these systems need to stand, the forces of time and different governments and types of governments and leadership. So I think in that sense, crypto technology and blockchain technology provide a very good balance between preserving national and individual sovereignty and privacy, and at the same time providing enough traceability so the law enforcement entities can do their work. And that balance is key. It's like, we want to protect privacy of individuals, protect the population from mass surveillance, but at the same time, we want to have enough traceability so the law enforcement can do the work in the face of a crime. So I think that's another key element that you cannot provide with centralized digitalized money. So I think that balance is also a key element in what we are building. And of course, this comes all these things that are, very challenging already, bring other challenges in terms of we are transforming the core of the financial system of the nation. So it's important to avoid the disruption or to have an orderly transition to this new system. So, what will be the role of the existing financial institutions, as I call it, the distribution network of the financial system, that are the commercial banks and all the institutions, all the financial intermediaries that today fulfill a very important role in the economy. So we need to think how to implement and deploy all these changes, all this technology without disrupting, without impacting the financial stability of our nations and of the world. So I think that is one of the questions we need to answer, or try to answer, in the work we are doing all together. And finally, I think this will open the opportunity to something. I think Jory spoke about this, smart money or a smart financial system. this will provide the opportunity to create a system that will serve society much, much better than the one we have today. Not because the one we have today is bad. As I always say, if we didn't have the financial intermediaries like Marco Polo or the banks, we couldn't get to the point where we are here. So the thing is, we maxed out the potential of the current infrastructure and the current system, and we know that the limits of the current model is that it can only provide service to half the population. So we need to improve, upgrade our financial infrastructure, our financial system to be able to serve 100% of the population. And I think that's the moment we are in history, and we have the opportunity. And for that, we need smarter money. We need systems that will enable industries to tailor the financial system to their specific problems. We have been discussing, for example, for the gaming industry, we want to have responsible gaming where we protect also the financial stability of individuals and allow them to be free and interact with gaming if they like to do so, but without compromising their personal finances. We want to create an international trade system that is more efficient and open, that will enable international trade to flourish to new levels. Today, you have like a lot of points of controlling the international trade system that are, in a way, impeding the true like peer-to-peer. And when I'm talking to peer-to-peer, I'm talking between nations, like peer-to-peer on the nation level trade around the world. And I think that will be also very important to strengthen the stability of the world. We can have progressive compliance. So we adapt compliance to the subjects we are applying compliance. It's not the same somebody that is trying to make ends meet, that is living day to day, that somebody that of course, like all of us, is in a situation where we can project ourselves and our economies many months from now. So the compliance levels that should be applied to us should be different to those who are in a survival situation. And the same applies to the taxing models. We should have taxing models that are, that adapt, and we cannot have them today. Today we have VAT applied the same to somebody that is just trying to put food on the table for their family, and somebody that is buying the second yacht. So I think in that sense, we need to have a smarter money, to have a more inclusive and egalitarian financial system. And finally, I think all these will, and this is something Guillermo mentioned, this will open the doors to the creation of reputational profiles, reputational identities that will create new ways of interacting in the society, and also new ways of implementing systems that are being discussed thoroughly these days, like UBI, that need those reputational profiles to really create the impact that they are willing to. So you need this to balance out, the protection of the individual from the society with the contributions that individuals do to the society. Because without that balance, these systems can be abused. So I think that's another key element, that is creating reputational systems, reputational profiles in the hands of individuals that will enable, safety net for the society, for those who are more vulnerable, that also lines up those efforts with the progress of society. So that's a little bit of my synthesis of all the topics we have been doing. And again, I think this is only the beginning of the conversation and the beginning of the work. Yes, and I want to, thanks to all of you that have been organizing this, and to everybody that I know you put a lot of work on the founding members of the research center for putting this together, and of course to everybody that is attending today.
Great, thank you, thank you everyone. I cannot think we are right there on the time frame. Cannot think of any better way to get this started as we mentioned, and with these guest speakers, thank you to the wonderful time that the speakers provided to this. We have 2 great questions at the end, but I think this is a great possibility to show that the conversation is just started. We have a survey there on the chat as well. We appreciate your feedback here. Definitely, we will be in contact with you, everyone, letting know how we move forward. Now the action is on to you and to everyone that wants to get involved into this. We've seen that everything is here laid out, and we will keep pushing forward in these actions.
Just one very quick thing, but very quick, because we've talked about lots of things and lots of countries. I just wanted to mention, in case not everyone will be aware, but the Chancellor the Exchequer in the UK. So the UK, at the day before yesterday, set out their ambition for the future of the UK financial services industry, and it's incredible. I find it incredible because there were 3 sort of core headings that he identified. One of them was related to green finance, completely aside. The second one, when he talked about extending the UK's leadership in financial technology, I mean, he literally said technologies such as stablecoins, privately issued digital currencies could transform the way people store and exchange their money, making payments cheaper and faster, harness the potential benefits of stability. And then he talks about central bank digital currencies and the work that HM Treasury and the Bank of England are doing. The only reason I'm saying that is, I think within this context of the RSK Enterprise and IOV, I'm super against these sort of plug and play CBDC solutions that I'm seeing sort of springing up all over the place. Building something out that's very technically specific to one initiative is key. That's why a partnership within this kind of group is so critical. And then when you see groups or countries like the UK doing this, it's always good to have voices on this group from lots of different countries. They need to be making those voices in their own countries. This is what's happening in the world. These are the standards that are being set, and we want to be pushing to be involved in that. That's what I would be asking everyone to do as far as possible.
Perfect. Excellent. Great input. Thank you, Joey. So action is on us today and everyone else now to keep this space moving forward. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining, and we're going to be in touch.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. In case anyone else has any questions or comments, we're going to remain a few minutes on the line. Everyone else, thank you for joining.
Well done, guys. It was I'm very excited that we finally launched this.
Yes, congrats.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll be contacting everyone.
Amazing work. So I think,
with the next
and great
meeting,
attendance,
early next year.
We have people from
28 countries.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Yeah, amazing.
Yes.
Congrats, guys.
Yeah.
I need to go to another meeting, but it was great to be part, and thank you for letting me participate in this that you have been building very, very thoroughly during the last month. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Thank you, everyone.
Good stuff. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. See you soon.
Bye, Gabriel. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. No.
Bye. Ciao.